Hello and welcome to Healthy Knitting. My name is Rosie. Today is November 2nd, 2014. Thanks for stopping by. You can find me on Ravelry as LESPETITSLUXES, and there's also a Ravelry group over there called Healthy Knitting. If you're finding me on YouTube, there's also the blog, which is healthyknitting.wordpress.com. And there's a reason why I know that today, because we'll talk about that in a second. So anyway, welcome. Nice to see you. I'm just going to adjust this a second here. I have some things on books and trying to make sure that everything's right. Anyway, welcome. It feels like I just did this last week, but it feels like I haven't done this forever. And I do it all the time, except you don't get to see it. So iMovie obviously works because my episode went live, which is fantastic after 7 tries. What else did I want to tell you? Oh, so I had to change around my whole website. I wanted to change everything around when I got my new certification, and things just weren't feeling right with the old website. And so it's actually just the same website, it's a different name. So it's optimalhealthwithrosie.com. And I also have a blog there, which is optimalhealth.wordpress.com. And when I originally got the name, the domain name, they set it up for me with wordpress.optimalhealthwithrosie.com. And I'm trying to figure out the blog last week, and because I haven't and I've been meaning to, I couldn't get anything to work. It was really, really slow. And then I looked at my Healthy Knitting one. I was like, well, why is the WordPress at the end and not in the beginning? So I called them up and they're like, well, that's just the way we do our platform and we work it through. And really, if you do that, you get less choices for the themes and all sorts of other stuff. So I switched it. So now I'm blogging at optimalhealthwithrosie.wordpress.com. And there's a healthy recipe that I posted there about turmeric tea. So if you're interested in that, go check that out. I'm going to post things there very regularly, little tips and things like that I think you'd find interesting if you like the healthy tips part of this podcast. There's not a whole lot in the way of knitting, not like last time. I don't have 4 months. I only have a week to show you the knitting that I've done, so we'll be a little sparse there, but there is some spinning as well. What else do I want to say? So, new and good. Last night, I went over to Beacon to see the Judith Tilloch band. She's so fantastic, and what a sweet person. They're such a nice group of people. If you have a chance and you feel like checking them out, I don't know if they have any YouTube videos, but Judith Tilloch band, they're really, really good. What else? Oh, so yesterday, I've been home for 4 months, and I finally cleaned my house. It took all day, and I don't have a big house, but 4 months of not really doing like the deep cleaning the windows, the floors, dusting everything, putting everything away that needed to get put away, getting things out that needed to be given away. Oh, see, I've podcasted about this, but you never got to see it. When I first got home, I realized how much, I have so much stuff, and I really don't want all this stuff anymore, and it's time to find new homes for things. I've been thinking about doing it, but really going to Italy and living in a place that was very pristine because it wasn't accumulate a lot of things that I didn't need anymore or need at all. Living very basic life kind of made me feel a little overwhelmed when I first came home. So I'm doing some destash. I've got some, among other things, but I don't know if you're interested. There's yarn in my thing on Ravelry that I'm getting rid of, and some books. Probably have to put the books up there and things like that, knitting related things. I am finding new homes for stuff, and I've given some more garments away to my knit group. Again, it's like if I don't wear it and I'm not using it, someone else needs to. And it was knitters, I don't know if you have a knit group, but if you do and there's stuff that you don't use anymore, what a great place to bring it, because they know the value of hand knits. They know how to take care of them. So it's not like iMovie is acting funny. Really, iMovie? It's not like it's going to wind up going to someone who doesn't even have a clue and goes to the washer and dryer and it's this big now. I mean, that does happen to us, obviously, but more than likely if you give it to another knitter, they're going to know how to take care of it. So I feel really good about bringing the hand knits that I no longer use. They're in perfectly good shape. It's just not something that I'm wearing anymore. So anyway, that's happening. So it was really nice to clean the house. I also made a painting, so I'm going to show you. It's not great, but I'm just really happy to have been able to do a painting. And this photo is an actual photo that I made that painting from, who I'm in a group with on my Facebook. They're from Italy, and they have the most incredibly beautiful photos. I mean, every time I'm like, oh my God, I need to paint that, I need to paint that, I need to paint that. So I have them all in a little folder. So that was fun yesterday. Didn't take very long. Just get your creative juices flowing. If there's something else that you're interested in and you always say, oh, I don't have the time. If you just say, I'll just do it for 5 minutes, chances are you'll do it for like an hour. So try to do some fun stuff for yourself and be creative and let yourself feel free to get things done. Funny thing, for many of you who know that I have that Smart Cat box that uses the safflower seeds, well, you can wash those seeds and reuse them, and they dry really fast. I use my sweater dryer to actually, now it's designated just for that. I'm not going to use it for a sweater dryer anymore. But I had them outside, and the birds started swiping my safflower seeds. So I actually had two kinds. I had the littler ones that I bought from my local Blue Seal store. Karina's here to say hello. And then I had the big ones that came with the box that I bought. And those don't fall through, so I don't want the birds eating those. So I left them the other ones because I had to wash 2 batches because the lady who took care of everything didn't understand what I meant by washing them and everything. So, so the birds were actually enjoying those safflower seeds. They still are. I left them a whole bunch of them, of the smaller ones out there for them. And by the way, it's getting chilly. Today is very, very windy out, and it's a little cold. I've still not put my heat above 60. I will not. I'm going to use alternative sources after 60 and just let the oil heat kick in. I've tried you might find this interesting. If you do a Google search for flower pot, tea light flower pot heater, that might show you some stuff. And I bought some regular tea lights just to see if this thing actually worked, but I'm actually going to, it does. You put 4 tea lights in something that's not going to be damaged by the heat. You put a smaller flower pot on there, close up the hole, and then put a larger flower pot over the top of all of that, and it makes a little heater. And what I love about that is that it's like, because it's ceramic, terracotta, it warms up and it stays warm. And so it's not like the heater that I have that blows hot air and I get really, really hot, and then as soon as I shut it off, I'm cold. It's kind of like a nice radiant heat. It's kind of like my radiators. I love radiators. Oh my God, they're amazing. They don't blow cat hair everywhere. Obviously, I have cats, and when I lived in the house that I had in Vermont, it had forced hot air. Although it was a wood-fired oil backup type thing, it was still like the hair everywhere. It was just not a good scene for me. So love radiators and radiant type heat, and so it works really well. But candles can be a little tricky with keeping you toxin free. So beeswax candles with non-lead wicks is the way to go. So I have been doing some searches on Etsy, and I found some, and I think I will get some of those pretty soon. It's just kind of fun. I mean, I have it right by my feet down here, and I can hear because it's not making any noise. And you just have to make sure that you attend it. You can't leave the room for any extended period of time without, blowing out the candles. But I think it's an interesting way, and it doesn't cost a lot, and it's taking me off the grid basically a little bit. I mean, obviously there was, in the production of making the candles, there was some energy being used. But I did find this person on Etsy who was great. I mean, they make everything local. They're from Florida. Pretty sure it's Florida because I looked at a few. And they make everything local. And I thought that was really a fun thing, except, it's got to get shipped up to me from Florida. I don't know. It's so hard to keep a footprint that's clean, but I'm trying to kind of like make it balance out a little bit. So I just thought that was an interesting way to have a little bit of heat for a room. And you always have to make sure there's ventilation as well. Like, don't close the doors in a room. Please watch the YouTube videos. Don't just do anything that I've just said without actually following directions, please. Okay, so what else did I want to tell you? Oh, and you know what else is really fun? I've been catching up with my friends, and I have a lot of friends who live all over the world because we fly in and meet at places. And you know, when you meet people like that and you stay in contact, you know, most of the contact is on Facebook of what's going on in people's lives, and we can celebrate with each other and be like, oh, that's great. And, you know, celebrate your wins is always really fun. Find out what's going on. When people need support, you're there to support them. But then it's also really nice to reach out and actually have a conversation. So I've been doing that with a lot of my friends lately, and that's been really fun. So don't forget to reach out to people that you haven't talked to in a while. Okay, so let's just get into some knitting. Where is it? I finished one object. I made and it's so funny because I have this queue that's enormous and I look at it quite often. And then someone will mention something on a podcast that I'll see and I'll be like, oh, I want to make that. And I'll make it right away. I did not know about this Gaptastic cowl, I don't believe, before. I don't think that it was in my queue. And then somewhere it got mentioned somehow, and I was like, that is really cool. It's by Jen. I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but Gaptastic cowl. Super simple, bulky yarn. I had Harmony Ironstone Harmony yarn. I think that's how it goes. Left over. And it didn't quite make it as wide as what was depicted in the directions. However, and that's a free pattern, by the way. However, I think it's wide enough. I have not woven in my ends yet. I made this, I don't know, I finished it the other day. I actually made it in one day. So this is really super great for Christmas gifts. I'm going to show you that in a second. So, and I like the yarn. It's really nice. Should I put this on? I'll show you what it looks like. So super warm, cozy. I prefer to wear things actually around my neck because that's where I get cold. I want it right here around my neck. As you can see, I have something on already. I love turtlenecks. Oh gosh. Love turtlenecks and scarves, anything around my neck. Excuse me. Now I'm eating fuzz. So anyway, Gaptastic cowl, really nice, fast and easy, bulky yarn. I don't even know. Did I use size 13s maybe? I think so. What I did want to show you is that I've used this yarn for another project. This is Iced, and I don't remember the name of the person who made this, and I believe this is a free pattern as well. Can you see the pills? Maybe up on this side better. Yeah, you can see them. See the pills? It's kind of like a singles yarn. Look at the arms. I constantly have to depill this. Not the best choice for outerwear. And I have a bunch, like I have 10 more. I bought it at Webb's. Excuse me, I'm eating this morning. Great price that I bought it for, but I definitely feel that it's not outerwear material or I'm going to be picking off big, huge pieces of pills. So no to that. I've got 10 more balls of it, and I was going to make a cable-y kind of pullover thing. And then I realized, well, you don't like bulky things on you because they look horrible, and I don't know if I ever showed you this, but this is a sweater that I made with Noro Hitsu, and I absolutely love the colors, absolutely love everything, except I don't look good in it because it's bulky and it just makes me feel like the Michelin Tire Man. So I'm going to rip this out. I'm hemming and hawing because it's done and I could wear it. But I think I'm going to rip it out. And the reason is because I'd rather make a jacket type thing with it where it's can be open. And this way I'm not feeling closed in. But I'm still debating because I still have another sweater to rip out. The Adrienne Vidadini one that I made before. And it's I don't think it's right. And I never even wove in the end, so I think I'm going to have to rip that out too. So I'm not getting very far in my objects to be able to wear. But so that's when I realized that. I was like, oh, why am I going to make another cabled pullover that I'm going to have to rip out and then have it be with yarn that's going to pill? That's just a total combination for disaster. So I need to find something else to do. It's not going to be a jacket. I don't know. I could make a lot of gifts because I think this used just over 2 balls. I'm not totally sure. It's on my Ravelry page because they were little pieces left over from there, and I just spliced them together and kept going. So I don't know offhand how much I used. Oh, you know, I could probably tell you because I made this project. So it's right here, right in front of me. I tell you, 2.66 or 290 yards. So not much that you need at all to make that cowl. And obviously it wasn't wide enough. I think it was plenty wide, right? I mean, if it was any wider, I think it would swallow my head or whose ever head. So let me just go right into yarn that I have that I thought would make nice presents for people and would be quick. And this is Winter Garden by Debbie Bliss. I got this at Webb's, and I have this lovely color green. Yeah, that's about the color. Pretty color green, and I have a friend who loves green, so present. This is kind of like a charcoaly kind of color, and that goes with everything. Easy to make a present for someone. And this is like a lavender and green and blue. It's not really showing up very well. Is that better? It's a little lighter than that. It's not showing up good. I put lights on here, but I can't move things around because I've got my easel in here, and I'm not taking the easel out into the room right now. It's staying in here. So anyway, easy peasy gifts. Are you making holiday gifts? I am this year. I'm also going to make little bags, and I've showed you this before. This was a tutorial through Etsy. Super easy. You can make it with scraps if you want. They make theirs with a couple different fabrics. I just made mine with one because I really liked this and I wanted to use it all in one thing. So this is, and I showed you this last week, the Chevron Scarf by Brenda of Molecular Knitting. And hopefully you can see that because I can't see what you're looking at. Oops. I didn't get much farther, but I did a little bit because when I finished the Gaptastic cowl, I needed something else to mindlessly knit on. And oh, shoot. I do have something else. What I worked on Thursday night at knitting. But where is that? Is that in here? It's in here. It's my friend's hat. I finished, had to rip it out, and start it over because it wasn't long enough. And then she changed some things to make it a little bit easier, pleasing to the eye. And I'm liking it better already. And I think I just cast on last time, so you didn't even get to see that. Well, I finished the whole thing and then ripped it out. The other thing too is, this is Noro Silk Garden, and I wanted to have the blue at the end. And if I did that, and even though we were making it longer, there was a lot of left over. So I took one of the colors out. There was like this white color, and it didn't look good. It was very jarring from the green into the blue. So actually, if I thought about it better, I would probably have shifted this green. I can't really see it. Oh, you can see better now. There it goes, right up close. So see the green? If I had put that here in between this blue, I think that would have looked better because it would have been a gradual green, blue into blue, and then finishing out with the darkest blue, which is wrapped up in a ball, which is this very big blue right here. So that's the eye of the hurricane. And this is the color that I took out. You see it really is like flesh color. It's not necessary. So anyway, I worked on this Thursday night, and then that was it. I haven't worked on it since. So I need to finish that up. Totally forgot all about that. Gosh, I tell you, I've got a lot of things on my mind right now. So anyway, so those are the things that I'm working on right now. Could probably finish out that hat. Not today, but who knows? I'm not sure when. Whenever the mood strikes, I guess. Okay. Spinning. So last week I was telling you about the fleece that I bought at New York Sheep and Wool, and it's a Romney fleece, and this is, I'm going to be making a 3-ply. Can you see that? This is the lightest color, and I have enough, you know what, I don't remember the total number of ounces, but I split everything. This is what will be on one bobbin, all of this. So I'll have 3 of those. I split it all. Isn't it beautiful? It's so light. 2 passes through my Straunch drum carder. That thing is amazing. I used to have a Louette one before the mold got to that and my spinning wheel. And it would take me like 4 passes to get through. And I would already have to have had it really picked apart. But this stuff is kind of picked. Goes through once, looks kind of like and then I throw it in again. I take my bats when they come off, and so say all the fibers are kind of like going this way. I take the bat off, I break it into 3, and then I throw it sideways this way into, and it comes out beautiful. It's like super easy to spin. It's like little clouds. So I'm really happy about that. It's gonna take me a while, guys. Holy cow. I haven't even finished. I have 2 more bags that need to go through the drum carders to the drum carder. Let me hang on. Duck away because I want to show you how pretty it is. Sorry. Okay, so I have 1 more bag of this really pretty chocolate color. Isn't that pretty? And then this is like a dark gray. And then there's actually 2 more. I need to go through this and maybe separate it again once more. And I know there's even separating in here because I was just mostly taking the dark pieces, but you can see there's like a dark gray in there as well. And then the charcoal. Actually, it's more like a charcoal. It's not like a chalk. There are some chocolate pieces, and I'm going to pull those out, but this is mostly charcoal. What's wrong with me? And so, yeah, and it's really interesting because all these variations in the color, it's really pretty. And then I'm trying to separate everything out. It's like, well, which one does it more look like? This one, and I'm holding it, and sometimes it's getting dark and I couldn't see. But the colors are so fun to play with. And it'll be really nice to do some type of a color work. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I was thinking of maybe instead of doing a color work thing, it might be kind of fun to make something that gradiated so that I would knit with this, and then at a little portion of this, knit this and something else, like varied, and then pull in that for a while, and then take the next color and do the same thing, so it's kind of like it flows in a gradient. But I don't know, I guess we'll have to see when I get all done how much yarn I actually have. So that's it for spinning. Nothing else going on. Okay, so last time I talked to you, I told you that I had been diagnosed with Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune thyroid disease. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about autoimmune disease because obviously I'm going through this right now. And I know a lot of people who have autoimmune diseases, and there are a lot of people. It's like running rampant these days. And so I thought maybe I'd throw some diseases out there that are autoimmune that maybe you didn't even know were actually an autoimmune disease. So MS is an autoimmune. Diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, Addison's disease, celiac disease, Graves' disease. Once you have one of these, you are more prone to having another autoimmune disease happen to you. So trying to maintain the disease is important. I know it sounds like so horrible because I never like to say to someone, you are your disease, because you're not. You're really not. You're not your disease. It's just something that is going on in your body at the time. And although people have said you'll never cure yourself. Do I believe that? I don't know. You can reduce your antibodies for sure, and you can maintain a healthy life. I'm losing light. Sorry. So it's not the end of the world, although a lot of people feel really horrible when they're going through this because they don't really understand what can actually make them better. And a lot of doctors don't treat it. They treat the symptoms and they don't actually get to the reason of why am I having all these antibodies in the first place. So there's a lot of evidence that is out there now that says that if you have leaky gut, or if you have an autoimmune disease, you have leaky gut. So I don't know. Let me just go back and say what an autoimmune disease is: when your body mistakes your tissues as something that it needs to kill. And what happens is we have antibodies get built, and we have a bunch of different types of antibodies that can be built. I had heard a great scenario analogy from a doctor who said it's kind of like you have the sergeant, and he's delegating to everyone, and you've got the Army, and you've got the Air Force, you've got the Marines, you've got the Navy. So depending on what it is they're attacking, you're going to send out whatever troops to go attack that. And so we'll talk about later that there's testing, but if you're only testing for one portion of the armed services, you might be missing out on the other ones, which would be where you have a food sensitivity. So I hope I'm making sense. Where do I want to go with that? Hold on. I wrote a couple notes, but I talk off the cuff most of the time. So leaky gut is basically when your tube that runs through you is allowing the things that are supposed to go from your mouth out your anus into your body. Big pieces, not the little pieces that it can actually handle, but the bigger pieces. Your immune system sees this and goes, oh my gosh, we need to attack this. It starts attacking that, and then it sees your tissues, like in my case, my thyroid, and says, oh, you're something we need to attack. And that is how it happens. And most of the culprits for this are gluten and dairy. So, and anything else you're food sensitive to, like it sometimes starts with that. And then because this is going on, your body is getting all these sensitivities. And I have quite a few that were very interesting. And I've, before I learned about all this stuff, I would hear about people who, I can't eat this, I can't eat that. I'm like, wow, what's wrong? What's going on with them? Well, that's what's going on. It's their body is attacking them now, and it's making them feel very sick. I actually went away with someone who couldn't eat anything. Like, it was really horrible. Vegetables, she couldn't even eat lettuce. And it was really weird. And I have some sensitivities that I was really surprised to see. I did a media release test at MRT. And not that I eat it anyway, chicken and beef, but chicken and beef, really? And catfish, which I don't eat either. I thought that was really strange that I have food sensitivities to that. I also have a food sensitivity to mint, which I used to enjoy mint tea, but right now I can't do mint. These things might go away later as my digestion heals, which I've been working on. So when you have an autoimmune disease, it's super, super, super important to find out what type of foods are triggering you for your antibodies to come out and attack. Because when they're out, then they're still going to attack even more the cells of you. Make sense? So there are tests. I told you about the MRT. That's one. There are remember I told you about the armies? There's the IgE, IgG, IgA, and IgM. These are antibodies, the armed forces that are out. And some tests only test one branch. So there's an IgG blood spot. The ELISA test, which is great, it tests all of them, and it's super expensive though. So if your insurance doesn't cover it, or your doctor's not willing to do it, out-of-pocket expenses can anywhere be up to $1,000 just for this test. But if you're really not well and you need to know what you're having reactions to, and that one actually doesn't test just for food, it tests for chemicals, metals, toxins, everything. So there's also, if you're looking at things from I can't really spend that much money on testing, my insurance doesn't cover it, blah, blah, blah. There is some things that work that you can do called a pulse test. And there's apps on your phone that will read your pulse. You just stick it over the camera and it will read your pulse. And I find that to be really fun. I do that every once in a while to see what's going on, but you can take your own pulse by putting your fingers here and looking at a clock and watching it go to 10, and then you can count the beats and then multiply it out so you can get your beats per minute. If you eat something that your body is having a reaction to, more than likely you will increase your heart rate. And so you can tell that with your pulse. So if you are curious about some things, and I think that I have a sensitivity to cashews. It's twice I've had them, and I've been like, oh, I don't feel quite right. Tested my pulse. I'm like, oh, I don't remember if they were tested. I'll have to totally look again. I don't remember them being off the list of things. But in the MRT test, the one that I took, I didn't do the ELISA. It'll tell you which foods are red and yellow, and the yellow is a sliding scale. Red, you're not even supposed to eat the yellow ones at all either. But, there's a sliding scale that tells you how sensitive you are to that. And then the green are the ones that you can eat. And it was just really surprising and very interesting. And gluten was definitely on there in both tests that I took. So, can't do gluten. No wheat. No things related to wheat. And there is gluten in other things. There's gluten in corn, there's gluten in rice, there's gluten in these things, except it's a different kind of gluten. So the light just got really weird. Everything's turning yellow. Sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on. So anyway, if you have an autoimmune disease, any of the ones that I spoke about or others, so there's more. I mean, that's just a small list of autoimmune diseases. Please check with your gut. You want to make sure that your gut is healing, and you're not, number one is to not keep ingesting the same things. Toxins are another big one that we don't think of, and that's why I'm sorry. I don't know what is going on with the light, but it just feels like I'm in the dark. So I talked about the things like you can clean your house with baking soda and vinegar, and those are the two things that you need. And I did it yesterday. You can clean your whole house. And windows done with vinegar, piece of cake. Baking soda is great for cleaning surfaces, like a little scrubby. It's awesome. I am, again, washing my hair back with the baking soda and rinsing with vinegar. I use it in everything, really. It's awesome stuff. And so those two things aren't going to kill you. Whereas other toxins can be endocrine disruptors, and we really don't want those in your house or in your body. Gosh, I'm talking about more than I wanted to, but things that have a very big smell, those are really not good for you either, phthalates. And so we find a lot of those things in our cleaning supplies. If you want to scent anything, essential oils, pure essential oils are the way to go. Don't use perfume oils. They're totally different, and they're not the same thing at all. They're completely full of chemicals and phthalates, and that's not what you want. So, yeah, I kind of went off the tangent there. So anyway, if you're not sure, go back. If you have autoimmune disease and you're not sure about where I should start first, I would totally suggest taking gluten out of your diet right away, number one. And then I would also take out dairy. I know, for most people, I'm going to tell you, I've had people beg me, and they're like, I'll do this, and this, but don't tell me I have to take dairy out. Like, it's an experiment, and if you try it just for a couple weeks, and then you eat it again and you feel horrible, you have a problem with that, and it's probably something that should be out of your diet for a bit. You can always try to add it in again later. And if you keep having the same reaction, because I keep testing things all the time, if you have the same reaction, then that might not necessarily be a food that is working for you. If you are going off gluten, though, I would highly recommend staying away from if you have a food sensitivity to gluten, don't even ever introduce it again, because it just starts those antibodies up all over again. And you really want to be well, because autoimmune, like I said, if you have one, you're more likely to have another. And that's not what you want. It just compounds things and makes it more difficult, and it's harder to get well, and it's just longer of a process. So get your gut back to healing. There's a lot to it than that. I mean, you're welcome to PM me, you're welcome to ask questions on the Ravelry boards or on the blog or anywhere. It's such a big topic that I could be here for hours talking just about that. But just wanted to let you know that autoimmune is not something that you just take medication to suppress your symptoms for. I'm big on this. I'm really big on this because it's not really helping you if what you're doing every day is just causing your body more reason to create more antibodies and destroy your body. It's a, you want to figure out why you're making those antibodies and stop that. And then your symptoms will go away. Make sense? What else did I want to talk to you about? Gosh, that might be it. We're at 36 minutes. See what happens when I don't skip for 4 months. Okay, if I've forgotten anything, I will post something maybe in the Ravelry board. I still have not. I'm planning on doing those other videos. Those will be on the Optimal Health with Rosie blog. I'll put videos and blog things there. So if you want any other health information, check that out. And feel free to ask me any questions anytime you want. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week. Thanks. Hello. I forgot to tell you a few things, and I have 3 corrections. So I just went through to make, sometimes I watch to make sure that iMovie is going okay, and then I usually just go, oh gosh, I really made a mistake there. And I learned how to actually go to the left-hand panel and put words in, and you can splice things, and that panel is not there now. So I don't even know where it is, so I can't even add little words like I was going to. So I'm like, let me just tell you, because there's one other thing that I wanted to tell you that is really good news, and I forgot. I have a little notes that says for the podcast, and things that come up I can write in there, except I forgot to look at it before we started. So let me just tell you before I make my corrections, the thing that happened. So remember I was telling you about my local Nature's Pantry? I questioned them about GMOs, and they gave me such a hard time. We're not changing anything, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, you're Nature's Pantry. You're supposed to be watching out for people. That's what your name implies. Anyway, I go away for 3 months, which is what I said. I said I didn't clean my house for 4 months. I didn't clean my house for 4 months because I was gone for 3, and I came home for a month, and I didn't have time. So, confusion, sorry. So anyway, I go there, and they have the non-GMO stuff, and it was non-GMO month for October. I might have told you that. I am not sure, because I know I've podcasted and you didn't get to see it, and I don't know what you saw last week, and I don't have time to watch it. So, anyway, I thought that was great, because here I'm seeing that, they're promoting this now. I'm like, awesome. So then I talked to the manager, one of the managers, and I said, I really appreciate what you're doing with the GMOs. They have everything labeled in the store, non-GMO, like with the non-GMO project label everywhere, all over. And I'm like, thank you so much for doing that. I really appreciate it. And he's like, wow, that really means a lot to us. And he says, as we use things up, we're getting rid of them, we're replacing them with GMO-free products. I'm like, ding, 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 ding. Please talk to your local stores and let them know that you want non-GMO, if that is the case for you, and more organic, or whatever it is you're looking for, because they do listen. It might take them a while, but I'm sure I wasn't the only one talking and asking and emailing about GMOs, and maybe enough people got together and they were like, oh, maybe there is something, that wasn't just one person who asked for this. So make sure you have your voice heard. And that's how people stay in business. Your local businesses are the ones that are providing for you. You're shopping there, giving them money. They need to give you what you want. So do what you can, talk to people. And this goes for anything. Like if you even have your hairdresser, and your hairdresser is using a lot of things that are toxic, and you're like, hey, do you think you could look up some stuff that's not so toxic? because there's a lot of toxins in the hair stuff. I mean, I can go on and on. I mean, you can talk to all sorts of purveyors in your neighborhood. So please don't be bashful about asking people to bring services that you need to their store. Okay, so cleared up the I have not cleaned my house for 4 months because I was not home. The other thing is that little bag. This is actually a Craftsy tutorial. I always say Etsy, and I don't mean to. Craftsy. And it's free. It's on there. And I said something about perfume oils. It's typically called fragrance oils in the world of when you go to places and you are buying essential oils, how to make soap, how to, they have bulk things and soaps and candles and all that stuff. They label it as fragrance oils. Don't buy those. Not good at all. It's just pure essential oils. Okay, so now that's it. So this will be tacked on in the end. I apologize that I can't figure out iMovie again still. I'll have to watch maybe a new tutorial since this is brand new and they've hidden it somewhere and made it even more complicated to use iMovie. I don't know what's going on with Mac. I have no idea. My phone actually froze last night. I went to go show my friend something and I opened my phone and the whole panel slid halfway open so I couldn't dial my code in. And then it froze. And it stayed that way until I had to manually shut it off, which I totally forgot. And so you know how you click the top and this home button and you hit them at the same time, it takes a picture? Well, if you hold them long enough, it will actually manually shut off your phone. And that's what I had to do when I get home because I forgot that did that. I'm trying to shut it off by holding this button on the top, just holding it. And it wouldn't work. My whole phone was so confused. I don't know. So Mac's got some work to do. Apple, excuse me, not Mac. Anyway, thanks for watching and have a great week. I'll see you. Ciao.